Bitcoin fear and greed index, very much in the fear zone. US dollar pumping right now. Typically not a good thing for risk on assets like Bitcoin and crypto. And Bitcoin on the daily chart, just sideways, kind of hanging out at this support, at the edge of a cliff, we could say. All of these things, a perfect storm for the bulls. I don't know if that surprised you or not, but that's how I'm looking at these things. I'm going to explain exactly why these things coming together, they look bearish or not good or not optimistic for crypto markets. And let me explain. I'm going to first start with US dollar index chart because it's very important to kind of lay the groundwork. So hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in, and we're going to dig into the Bitcoin charts and also just crypto charts in general. I posted this the other day. I said the crypto bottom is almost in. Bookmark it. This was 2 days ago, October 2nd. Now, when we dig into the Bitcoin analysis part of this video, that will be within context of even one more leg down. But I genuinely think the bottom is almost in and Bitcoin's going to make a move to the upside. Crypto's going to make a move to the upside. So let's start here. The headlines. Strong September jobs report reduces recession fears. So now all the speculation of, the next rate, the rate cut that happens being half a point. Now it's kind of like, well, the jobs report not looking too bad. It's probably going to be 1/4 of a point. And when something like that happens, we see US dollar making a move to the upside. But let me explain very simply. We are still entering a rate cut cycle. And we want to see, especially if US dollar was kind of getting into this kind of consolidation zone to the downside or even sideways, we want to see a pump. And if we look at the US dollar index chart on the weekly, check out what's happening. We had the 20-week crossing below the 50-week right here. And right now we're having kind of this pump and move back to the upside. And if we actually just go and look at the momentum oscillator back on the daily chart, I want to point something out. This is exactly what we want to see from a momentum perspective for something like Bitcoin. Yeah, I get that if US dollar is pumping, Bitcoin's oftentimes not, and oftentimes is actually falling, right? It's kind of an inverse indicator. But here's the deal. This daily chart is approaching exactly where we want it to be, to set up a crypto pump that is overbought. If you look back on this US dollar chart, there's room for upside. We just saw on the weekly, pulling back to the key moving averages. Here's on the daily. Check out what has happened when US dollar on the daily gets too overbought, which it's approaching, right? Right back here in April, that was the top. All the way back here in October, that was the top. And you can just see when it's hovering at that overbought area, this was the top for a move to the downside. And I want to show you in relation to Bitcoin, this is even taking it a step further and kind of actually going against what I just said. That is to say, if US dollar currency index is pumping, Bitcoin's not. Because look at last cycle alone. Here's US dollar currency index in the last cycle. And here's Bitcoin bull market top. This means during this time, Bitcoin was pumping too. So we can't just sit here and be like, oh man, US dollar index is moving up, Bitcoin's done. We can't do that. We have to look at all the data. And I think in an environment where the dollar is falling, Bitcoin's probably going to do better. But even if the US dollar is making a move to the upside of some sort, Bitcoin can still do it, make a move to the upside, especially with where we are in the Bitcoin cycles. Notice this was all the way here towards the middle of Bitcoin halvings, right? Right now, we're entering this area where Bitcoin and crypto actually starts taking off. This is a US dollar chart, but you get the idea. Now, if we go to look at the total crypto market cap chart, I want to mention something briefly because I spoke about it a little bit in yesterday's video. That is the comparison of consolidation that's happening here to what happened back here in 2019. So similar. And then obviously we had that COVID dip. But the one thing I wanted to point out was, because there is also similarity, we can't ignore it, to back here, right? We saw total crypto market cap fall below the 20-week moving average, support at the 50-week. That's happening kind of right now. We fell below the 20-week in green. We've seen support at the 50-week so far. There's no guarantee it'll hold, but there's a similarity there. But what I noticed was this 200-week moving average down here. What is so good about the current move, and I really like this, is look at the 200 week moving average, how close it is to the 20 and 50, right? They're very much kind of just consolidating together. Last cycle, when we did have total crypto market cap falling below that 20 week and seeing support at the 50, look at the separation at 200 and then going right into the top of the bull market. Look at all that separation. It was time to close the gap and fall. Right now, if you look at how close these moving averages are, it's more commonplace to what was going on back here at the beginning of the bull cycle last time. And I'll say that within just this potential happening of crypto keeps falling, right? But look where that 200 week moving average is. It's 1.5 trillion right now. We're sitting at 2 trillion. If on the macro, crypto does fall before going higher, that's not even that bad to me. And this is something I've been kind of discussing. It's a higher low on these crypto charts. But let's talk about now how all of these things I think are coming together. Crypto fear, US dollar pumping, and Bitcoin charts in general. So we got this out of the way. US dollar is making a move to the upside. Here's the moving averages we'll look at for resistance. And maybe it goes higher. Maybe we have to kind of test up in this region, 105 area on US dollar. Maybe it doesn't even get that high. Maybe it doesn't even get to the moving averages to test that area. But either way, we're approaching overbought on the daily. When fear is high on crypto, this is usually a good thing for some type of reversal, let alone the fact that Bitcoin now has consolidated for half a year. So check this out. We have all of the consolidation we've been tracking on Bitcoin. And I posted this the other day, crypto bottom almost being in. It's the 6-hour chart that I'm very closely watching right now. And obviously on the Bitcoin daily chart, I just look at the sideways on the daily at the 50-day moving average. It has actually held support. I am not convinced that this is going to be the bounce and we're cruising to the upside. It would be just too good to see the 50-day pullback right or throwback right between the 50 and the 20 and then continue to the upside. I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin fall to the higher low Fibonacci that we've been discussing. But I want to talk about that in context to the 6-hour chart. Because if it happens, and this is something I mentioned in the other day's video, I think talking about the bottom being close, we could go a little lower, but just check out this 6-hour RSI. I continue to think about this chart. We've seen the bottoms recently before these reversals to the upside kind of play out in a similar fashion, hitting the oversold on the 6-hour RSI. Now, what I'm watching for is if Bitcoin does break down, we're going to put in a clearly lower low on the short-term Bitcoin price chart, right? So we're going to break these previous lows and go lower. What is the RSI doing in that environment? I just don't know. And that's what I've been monitoring and waiting for to see. Can we put in a bullish divergence of some sort where price is going a little lower, maybe to that Fibonacci, and we're getting a higher low on the 6-hour for then making the move to the upside? And this, in my view, aligns with giving the US dollar, if we go back to the 1-day chart, a little bit more of upside before finally consolidating or taking a break and falling. This gives Bitcoin some time to set up this move to the upside. Now, I digress from that. Bitcoin has such a good macro narrative. Bitcoin on the zoomed out monthly is right where we want it to be from a time frame perspective, getting ready to enter this parabolic season that we've seen in cycles past. And this is what the chart looks like. This purple line here, we're getting very close. This could be an insane fourth quarter for crypto. And so maybe the daily chart, or even right now, holds support at this 50-day moving average. I'll be watching it on the short term. We continue to watch each daily candle close, seeing support. You can see we've wicked below it 3 times already. And we have around 9 hours left of the current daily candle that I'll be watching on Bitcoin. And I just think all of these things are coming together at this moment of the macro cycle, even on the short term, to say, you know what? Bitcoin, crypto, it's primed to go higher. It's primed to break out. I can't zoom out right now on a total crypto market cap chart and think, man, this is just bearish on the macro. Look what's happening. US spot ETFs hold 4.6% of Bitcoin supply valued at 58 billion. Highlighting the strong institutional demand for regulated BTC exposure. Do you see how much money's pouring in? And this is just starting. This is just starting. Wanted to also point out CSI 300 index, the China market. We saw what happened. Last it closed on Monday, September 30th. It's the golden week, I believe, in China. So markets have been closed. I'm very curious to see when markets resume what this chart does. In general, everybody, zoom out on the macro. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. I'm always anticipating downside. It's just my personality to do so. But when I zoom out, things are looking bullish. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as we continue to track all of these moving parts. There's so many, and I appreciate you watching these videos. If you're out there and not a subscriber, please subscribe. Your support means a ton for me, or a ton to me, as we get ready, I think, to enter a parabolic bull market. Hit that like button as well if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.